It is a Monday afternoon in September, and there is a grown man lying flat on his back in a restaurant parking lot. He is fine. I'm putting that at the very beginning, so nobody has to worry. He's on the ground because about 40 teenagers have just done something to him that he was not remotely prepared for, and they had been planning it for 6 months, directly in front of him, to his face. This is the story of the best kept secret in the history of American teenagers, which, I admit, is a low bar. Teenagers cannot keep a secret about a party for 4 hours. These ones kept one for 26 weeks, inside a building they shared with the guy they were keeping it from. About a year earlier, none of this is happening. Your name is Francis Apraku. You came to the United States from Ghana about 10 years ago, and you left almost everybody you love behind you. Your family is still there, 5,000 miles away, on the other side of an ocean, and every time you get paid, part of that money goes straight back to them, because that is the entire reason you came. You work as a custodian at James Madison High School in Vienna, Virginia. If you have never done that job, here's what it actually looks like. You are in the building before the students arrive, and you are still there, long after they go home. You clean the hallways, the bathrooms, the gyms, and a cafeteria that gets completely destroyed twice a day. You mop a floor. 40 seconds later, 300 kids walk across it in wet shoes, so you mop it again. That is your entire relationship with the floor. It is not a healthy relationship, and it is not going to improve. You also unclog things. We are not going to describe the things, you know the things, and most of the people you clean up after never learn your name. That is the part people miss. It is not the work that wears you down, it is being invisible while you do it. But somewhere along the way, you decided you were not going to be invisible back. You have a rule, and you say it out loud to anybody who will listen.
Whoever you meet in this world, you need to respect, no matter what the person is.
So you learn the names. You learn which kid has a game on Friday. You learn which kid just failed a test and does not want to talk about it. In the summer of 2023, the football team runs its camp inside your building, and you start talking to a small group of freshmen, 14 years old, sunburned, exhausted, lying on the floor of your hallway like a group of shipwreck survivors. One of them is Logan, one of them is Bennett, one of them is Nick. Bennett later tries to explain what you were like to be around, and honestly, he nails it in one sentence.
If we were to have a bad day, he'd be the first guy, I'd be like, hey, are you okay?
That is it. That is the entire thing you did. You asked 14-year-olds if they were alright, and you actually meant it. And you did it every single day for a year. You have no idea that you are building anything. Then, one afternoon, the boys ask you the question teenagers ask adults when they are bored. Francis, if you had the money, what would you buy? Adults are famously terrible at this question. Adults say things like, I would pay off the house. Adults have been broken by life and it shows. You do not need a second. You have had this answer loaded and ready for 10 years.
And I told them my heart desire is to get a Jeep Wrangler.
And then you go back to your cart. You did not hint. You did not ask for anything. Somebody asked you a question and you answered it and you went back to work. What happens in those boys that night, you will not find out about for 6 months. They go home and they decide to actually try a tea. Not seriously. As a challenge. Bennett puts it about as plainly as a 15-year-old can. He does so much for us, he says, but he gets nothing in return. So a handful of teenagers, who have never raised money for anything in their entire lives, open a fundraising page on the internet. They write 2 short sentences about a man named Francis, who moved to America away from his family a few years ago. Then they set the goal, $25,000, which is a number that was chosen by teenagers in a bedroom at night with no adults present anywhere. 15-year-olds do not have $25,000. 15-year-olds do not reliably have a pen. At least one boy in that room owed his mother money at the time. And I say that with total confidence. Their honest expectation was that this was going to take years. Plural. A few of them assumed they would be in college by the time it worked. It takes 2 days to reach the first 5,000. Because here's the thing about a story like this. Almost every adult who reads it has a Francis somewhere in their own past. A janitor, a bus driver, a lunch lady, somebody who was kind to them when they were 14, whose name they never bothered to learn, and who they think about roughly once a year, in the shower, for no reason at all. The page goes onto Facebook, and it walks straight out of Virginia. Strangers who will never meet this man start sending $20, $50, $500, $345. People, $21,927. And here's the part I genuinely cannot get over. They do not tell him. He is right there. He is in that hallway every single day. These kids see him more often than they see some of their own parents. They say, "Hi Francis." He says, "Hey, are you okay?" They say, "Yeah, we are great. Nothing going on. Nothing at all." 26 weeks. Teenagers. Not one leak. There's a boy in that group who has never once made it to the end of a movie without telling somebody how it finishes. And he's set on this. It is the kindest lie anybody has ever told him. Then the operation acquires a dad. Every serious teenage plan eventually acquires a dad. Usually at the exact moment paperwork appears. This dad is named Andy Britt, and he works at a car dealership, which is comfortably the luckiest single fact in this entire story. He helps them stretch the money further than it had any right to go. It is a 2015 Jeep Wrangler, candy apple red. It is 10 years old, and it does not need to be new. And they put a bow on the hood, roughly the size of a small child. Nobody has ever explained where a 15-year-old sources a bow that big. That is a real unanswered question, and I think about it more than I should. On Monday, the 9th of September, 2024, somebody tells you there is something happening over at the Vienna Inn, a little restaurant, right by the school. You go, because you always go when students ask you to. You walk around the corner into the parking lot. Red Jeep, enormous bow, 40 teenagers behind it, and every single one of them is looking straight at you. You describe what happens next better than anybody else could.
My leg starting shaking. I can't stand. I was panicking.
And you go down.
Oh my God! I can't believe this.
You are flat on the pavement of a restaurant parking lot in front of half a football team, laughing and crying at the same time. And the first thing you manage to get out is not about the car at all.
I have to give thanks to God for the first time, and also the guys with me.
Then you thank the students. Then you thank their parents. Then you get up off the ground and you hug what appears to be every teenager in Fairfax County.
Today is a wonderful day in my life, and I will never forget it.
But the thing you say next is quietly bigger than anything else said that day.
Even if I'm sad, they make my day and I become happy.
Not the money, the connection. Standing next to a free Jeep, you're still talking about the part that was free anyway. Somebody films the whole thing. By the next morning, the entire country is watching it. Here's what happens after the cameras go away. Jeep hears about it and covers his oil changes and his tire rotations for 6 years, which is the corporate version of a hug. But it is a good hug, because a free car with no maintenance is a gift that quietly runs out. And on Tuesday, he goes back to work. Same hallway, same card, same wet shoes, walking across his clean floor 40 seconds after he finishes it. Because the hallway does not clean itself just because you are on national television. The only difference is what is parked outside. And in March, the county board calls those students into a room and reads a proclamation out loud about what they did. The chairman says one sentence that somebody should have said a very long time ago. Few people work as hard in our school system as our custodial staff. It took a Jeep Wrangler and a viral video to get that sentence into the official record. But that is not really the ending. The ending is that a man cleaning a high school hallway with his whole family 5,000 miles away decided that the 14-year-olds walking past him were worth learning the names of. He did that for free. He did it when nobody was watching. He had no idea it was going anywhere at all, because kindness is not a transaction. You do not get a Jeep for being a good person. Almost nobody ever does. But those boys did not raise $22,000 for a stranger. They raised it for the man who noticed they were having a bad day. He was the first one to ask. They were just the ones who answered.